like he said, we really want to thank y'all for being here. The fact that you're here shows that you are invested in your students' success, and that is, as a teacher, such a big deal to have parents who are invested and who are there to really do the work with their students to make sure that they're successful. So we're just going to talk to you a little bit about what your 12th grade students can expect in their ELA classes this year. Sort of what the goals are that we as 12th grade teachers are trying to help them achieve, what a typical day looks like, what the curriculum looks like, and then we're going to do a quick little model lesson with you just so you can kind of see some of that firsthand. So I'm Jess Ferris. This will be my 15th year in the classroom, and all of those years have been at Davidson High. I teach honors 12th grade English. I've taught it for several years now, and also a really great Women in Literature elective, and I'm a department chair.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Vanita Wigfall, 22 years in education. I teach English 12 at Blount High School. Also, I am department chair. Also, I'm the lead senior sponsor. Okay, so basically what we're going to do today is we're going to give you all a brief synopsis of what we expect in ELA 12, okay? So these are our goals. Continue to help students raise ACT scores. That's very important because if you recall, when your student was in the 11th grade, ACT was like so important. Our job is to build on those skills, okay? Because we already know the higher the ACT score is, the more likely they're going to receive a scholarship, right? And may I ask what school your senior attends? Okay, Bryant High School. Okay, that's good. Next, we work on our writing skills because like I tell the seniors, it doesn't matter if you decide to go to college or if you decide to enter the workforce. Either way it goes, it's very, very important that you know how to write a coherent paragraph, okay? Because I'm quite sure we see all types of stuff on social media. It's like you would think that they wouldn't bring it in the classroom, but they do. And I have to tell them, hey, look, this is not Facebook, this is not Snapchat. And so we have to go in and I say, okay, this is Miss Wigfall, this is a real paper. So our job is just to make sure they can, know how to write a coherent paragraph, okay? Building reading skills, also vocabulary skills, that's very important because like I tell them, whether you're going to look at a SAPs or buy a home, buy a car, either way it goes, you need to know certain terminology, vocabulary, because we already know if we don't understand something, the reason why we don't understand is because we don't know what those words mean. And then finally, collaboration skills, that's important because when they graduate, they are going to be working in teams, okay? And it's very important to know how to work together to achieve a goal, okay? So basically, those are ELA goals. Now, a typical day in English 12, we always begin with the bell ringer, okay? And our bell ringer, it goes over grammar skills, okay? We like to call it DGP, which stands for Daily Grammar Practice. That's very important because, like I said again, we want them to know, look, place a comma here. This may need a quotation mark. This is the wrong subject-verb agreement. Make sure you don't have any run-on sentences. So that's the importance of doing grammar in the beginning of a lesson. Now, we have I do, we do, and you do. I do is just like it says. I do, strictly the teacher is the facilitator. I may be doing a lecture, but whatever it is, I am modeling the objective that I want the students to do, okay? We do, basically we practice this skill right here together. We work as a team, me along with the students. It could be something like a close read, it can be answering questions, it can be a number of things. And then finally, we have welcome. You do. Good afternoon.
Come on in.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
It's good to be here.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay. And then finally, we have the you do. And basically, this right here, students practice the skill on their own, okay? And when they practice the skill, it can be something simple as homework. It can be an assessment. It can be a short-term assessment. And then we always check for understanding. In my class, I like to do thumbs up, thumbs down. We also do exit slip. We also do hand clap, which we're going to demonstrate right now. So let's go back. For those who were here at the very beginning,
Looking at you two.
very beginning, give me one goal that I said we do in English 12. One goal. What did I say? Now I'm checking for understanding. Very good. So guess what? Everybody will give her one hand clap. So let's practice. Very good. Okay. Now, let's talk about another thing. I'm just checking for understanding. What did I say the first thing we do once everybody settled in class? What's the first thing we do? Huh? Very good. One hand clap. So this lets me know that you all understand everything that we're doing right now, okay? And finally, last but not least, we also do an exit slip. Exit slip is just like it says. Basically, we give the students a statement, or it can be a problem, but whatever the case may be, they have to complete that exit slip, and then they leave the classroom, okay? So are there any questions about our goals? Are there any questions about a typical day in ELA 12? Any questions for us? Awesome. Okay, Jess?
Okay, so Ms. Wigfall presented the structure of what we do in a typical day. And the reason that we structure our lesson plans like this is because there's tons of research to show that this is called scaffolding, is a very, very effective way to teach students. So scaffolding, the idea is that you're starting as a whole group, and then you're sort of pulling back that support until the student is doing the skill completely on their own. So we try to do that every single day. But what's great is that last year we adopted a new curriculum in ELA called Savvis My Perspectives, and the entire curriculum is built on that scaffolding idea. So now in ELA we go unit by unit, a unit per quarter, and the unit is scaffolded. So we start the unit together in whole group instruction, where as a class all together we're practicing a skill. And then we move in after a few weeks to small group instruction, where the students are practicing skills together in smaller groups, and we are going around and facilitating and giving them support where needed. And then we end the unit with independent learning, where the students are responsible for showing their knowledge and their mastery of those skills on their own. So the units are scaffolded in a way that is so effective, and I have to tell you, I love this curriculum. I saw so much growth with my students last year, and I think that it's all because of that setup. So in Savvis, every unit centers around a question. So for Unit 1, which is the first thing that your student will work on this year in ELA, the question, you can see it at the top of this page, is what makes a hero? Everything that they do in Unit 1 ties back to that question. So it's super cohesive and everything makes sense. There's never a, why are we reading this? Because everything comes back to that question. And another thing that's really, really great is during the unit, while we're doing all these things to try to answer that question, students are pulling evidence the whole time that they're going to use at the end of the unit on an assessment, which I'm going to talk to you about in just a second. So they're able to look at everything we read as a valuable potential source of evidence that they're going to apply later on. So we have a couple of different checkpoints. Let me go back just really quickly. We have a couple of different checkpoints within our unit. When we get to the end of that whole group section of the unit, students will stop for their first assessment checkpoint. And this is called their performance task. In this one, they'll write us a short little essay where they're using whatever text we looked at together as a group to answer a question. And then at the end of their small group portion, they'll have another performance task where as a group, they work on a project together. It's required in honors, and some standard teachers also implement this. They'll work on a project together that usually has some sort of presentation element. And then at the end, they're going to do their individual performance-based assessment, which is their large formal essay, and they write one of those every quarter. So at the end of the unit, they're going to go look back at everything that they've read, all of the evidence that they've pulled from those selections, and they're going to use all that evidence to write a formal essay that goes through multiple drafts, and they're going to give us a really high quality piece of writing. In first quarter, it's an argument. Sometimes it's a narrative. Sometimes they're explaining an idea, but they're using all those things that they read all the way through to build that really, really high quality piece of writing. And this is what they use throughout the unit to gather that evidence. Every time we read something, they visit their evidence logs and they log everything that they can pull from that selection that they can think of that's going to help them answer that question at the end of the unit. And they already know the question, so that they're working the whole time on getting everything that they need so that they're successful on that last performance-based assessment. Anybody have any questions about that and how it's structured? A couple of other things I'll tell you about SAVIS. Every student gets a textbook that is consumable, which means they can write in it. They can annotate the text as we read them. They can tear out pages and turn them in. They can take those books with them at the end of the semester if they want and have a breadth of resources. And I will say, as an ELA teacher, this has made a huge difference to just say, close your laptops,
Yes.
get out your book, get out your highlighter,
Right.
get out your pen. And we've really been able to start digging into those texts and get our kids to start connecting in that way again, which is just so refreshing. It's also, I mentioned this a little bit, but SAVIS is very, very heavy on collaboration, right? You have to be able to communicate your ideas with other people, hear their ideas, work together to come up with a product. So we're doing that kind of stuff all the time, and we know whether your student goes on to college or they enter the workforce, they have to know how to work with others.
Right.
And I love that we're giving that so much attention. Questions before we move on? All right. Okay, so what we want to do for you is we want to model just a little lesson so that you can see sort of what your student can expect early on whenever they come back. We chose a lesson from the very start of the unit because for us it's important to get our students engaged in what we're going to be working on for the whole quarter up front, right? We really want to hook them so that they're invested in that question and they bring that enthusiasm into everything that we read. So we chose something called the launch activity. The launch activity is something that we do at the very start of the unit, and the goal of it is just to get students really thinking about that question, to practice some of that collaboration, the discussion, all those things that we're going to need them to really bring to the table as we move forward into the unit and get into sort of the tougher work, okay? So the goal of it is to be fun, it's to be engaging, it's to get everybody talking,
Right.
and get everybody on the same page before we move forward into, you know, all the reading and digging into the text and all those things. So, for Unit 1, the question is, what makes a hero? And the first thing that I like to ask my students is, what do I mean when I say hero, right? Like when I ask you what makes a hero, what is the hero that you're picturing? And I'm asking you now. Do you think like a superhero? Or do you think of a person who, like, for me, my granny, right? She may not be a hero to you, but she's a hero to me. She's the most amazing woman on the planet. Can't change my mind. Do you think of, you know, an athlete? A lot of our students do. Do you think of a philanthropist? So we try to have a discussion about what does a hero look like? What does that word encompass? And as we dig into the unit, we're going to read about all kinds. We're going to read about war heroes. We're going to read about epic heroes like Beowulf, right? We're going to read about people who, like Captain Sullenberger, who, you know, landed the plane on the Hudson and saved all those lives. We're going to read about all kinds of different heroes and see how big that word is, right? So going forward, okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to work together and we're going to write our focus statement. Okay, so as we go into our text and the rest of the unit, after our class has written this focus statement, I'll keep referring back to it to my students to make sure that they're looking for evidence that's going to back that up, right? So, a hero is this, this, and this, okay? And we're gonna work together to fill in those 3 blanks. So to do that, we really need to be thinking about what qualities do I think are most important for a hero to have. Now, when we got together and planned this lesson, we thought our group would be a little bigger, okay? So again, we want to thank you for being here because it really does mean so much. But we're going to tweak what we have on these slides just a little bit to make it work a little bit better for a group this size, okay? Okay, so what we were going to ask you to do is with your group at your table, you have some sticky notes, you should, and you have something to write with. We were going to ask you as a group to come up with 3 words that you think could finish that focus statement, right? So a hero is this, this, and this. So kind of talk with the people around you, or to yourself, or move to the people around you, or however you want to do it.
Actually, let's change it up just a little bit. Right. Instead of working in groups, since the number is so few, let's just do it individual.
Okay, I love that. So let's
3
give everybody
adjectives.
a sticky note.
That's right.
Perfect.
And then once you have your 3 adjectives on the sticky note, just place it over there on the white sheet. So we're going to give you, let's say 5 minutes. All right.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll do a little mini version of how I did this in my class this past year. And we had so much fun with this, but I had 30 very opinionated students in that class who were very passionate about words. But we had lots of great discussions. So what we're going to do to take all these great words that you gave us and narrow it down to 3 is we're just going to go through them one at a time, right? And as we talk about these words, we want to think about a few things, okay? So what's their denotation? What do they actually mean? Like if you look them up in the dictionary. Does that fit with the idea that we have of a hero? What's their connotation, right? Connotation is like the emotion that we associate to a word. So we don't want to be using words with a negative connotation to describe our heroes. So we might rule those out. And then, do we have any synonyms, right? Do we have words that basically mean the same thing? And if that happens, let's stop and look at those and try to decide which one we should keep and which one we're going to throw out. When we've narrowed our list down, then we'll do a vote as a class. And we'll finish that focus statement, and that's going to be what we keep pointing to throughout the unit, right? Does the hero in this text seem to fit all these things? And they're going to be constantly thinking about that and pulling out that evidence to support it. All right, so the first one that we have, and I'm going to try to write them large enough for you to see. I don't know if you can. Selfless, right? A hero is selfless. So somebody tell me, what do we think? Like when we think selfless, give me an example or just sort of a definition in your own words. What's it mean if someone is selfless?
Thinking about it.
Right. Perfect. They're going to put others' needs before their own, right? They're going to choose what's best for other people before they choose what's best for themselves. Do we all agree that that is a quality that we want the people that we look to as heroes to have? Yeah. All right, perfect. So that's a great one, whoever came up with that one. The next one we have is bold, right? And I love this word, and this is what I try to tell my students. The best words don't have to be ones that have 20 letters, right? Sometimes you have a 4-letter word that packs just as much of a punch as something with a whole lot of letters. And our students, sometimes when they write, they like to write, and then they like to go to that little thesaurus little menu, and they say, oh, this one's got 17 letters, plug that, and it's not nearly as good as one with 4, right? Word choice is so important in our writing and in our speech. We feel good about bold? What can anybody think of a heroic deed that we would consider bold?
Sullivan's Landing.
Okay, perfect. So he had to really put himself out there to get it together to land that plane in the middle of a river, right? To save all those lives, and he did. He saved everybody on that plane, right? That was a very bold move. Now, I would have a student argue, and I'm saying this because I did have a student argue to this exact word. Do we think all heroes are bold, or are there quiet heroes? sometimes there are people who are being heroic quietly, right? So that might be one that, though I love this word and I want my heroes bold, that might be one that we kind of think about. Is it going to fit every hero that we read about in this unit, right? All right, farsighted. Okay, I love that word. That's a very creative word, right? My interpretation of that is like you're able to look down the line at the picture that's far away and do what you need to do to make it happen. Take whatever steps you need to take to get there, right? Okay, perfect. All right, courageous. How do we feel about courageous? Do we feel like there are any words on our list that sort of have the same definition, same vibe?
I think bold and courageous.
I think bold and courageous. I don't know that in our focus statement we want to have both of those words, right? I think we would want to have one or the other. So then let's do a little stop and chat. Of those two words, bold and courageous, which one do we feel like as a group we might want to keep? And this is totally up to y'all. It's not.
I would say courageous.
I
Okay.
like courageous.
You like courageous better?
Because you can be quietly courageous.
You can be, I love that. You can be quietly courageous. You can't be quietly bold, really, right? Maybe you can. Right, bold is typically loud, and that's what we're thinking about connotations, right? All right, perfect. I love that. Ooh. Admirable, right? We want our heroes to be people we admire. We want our heroes to be people we look up to, right? Have any of you ever seen Deadpool? Do you think any students sitting in our classrooms may look to Deadpool as a hero? Would you call him admirable? Right? So those are the kind of talks we have to have with our students. I think that's a great word to describe a hero. I want to be able to admire my heroes. But are people going to find examples of heroes that don't fit in that box, right? All right. Ooh. This is not a very good marker. Affluent. Anybody want to talk about it?
Affluent typically.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say typically, things that most people can acquire.
Okay.
Whether it's, tons of money.
Right.
Tons of courage.
Good.
Tons of selflessness.
Right. But they have a large quantity of the things that make them heroic. Okay, I love that. I love that. All right, I like the next one. We went away from adjectives, right? We've got adjectives here, all of our describing words. And we went to a noun. So this next person thought outside the box a little bit, and they said, a hero is, now we're gonna have to give it an article. We might have to tweak our sentence a little, but I'm totally fine with that. A hero is an overcomer, right? So what's that mean?
Does beyond what is asked.
Okay, they do more than what's asked, and I also hear that and I think about overcoming obstacles, right? Like you have something thrown in your path and you overcome it, you defeat it. And when I think of that, I think of real life heroes, and I think of heroes like Beowulf who have to fight Grendel, which we'll read about with your student very soon. That was a huge obstacle to overcome, right? And then Grendel's mama, and she didn't play about her baby. Vicious, I'll tell you, that one. I love that. I love that we used a noun there.
What would be a synonym adjective that would parallel getting over an obstacle?
All right, so we want an tenacious,
There you go.
right? Tenacious, we could say, I'm trying to think of another one. Oh, words are my thing, but, parents make me nervous.
I like tenacious.
I think tenacious is good, yeah.
You have to overcome to have a task.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't quit just because something gets tough, right? And boy, is that an important lesson to tell your seniors, because let me tell you, the monster we have to fight senior year, y'all have heard about senioritis, and it is the realest thing. When we hit that second semester,
Right.
and I say to them, I'm going to say to them this year, you need to be an overcomer, right? This laziness is an obstacle for you, and you're going to need to overcome that. You're going to need to be tenacious, because they do like to check out. All right, we got another noun here. All right, they're a helper, right? They want to help the people around them. That's kind of what being heroic is all about, right? I think there's a word up here that we can sort of look at these two words together and make a choice. What do we think? Selfless? Perfect. So of those two, how do y'all feel? Y'all like selfless? Perfect. Oh, and then I love this one. Finally, they're a believer, right? Maybe that means they have to believe in themselves. Maybe it means they have to believe in the cause that they're fighting for. Maybe it means that they have to believe in the people around them and that they can accomplish whatever needs to be accomplished together. Think Avengers, right? See how you got to throw those things in there, because I'm telling you, our students eat that up, right? You got to find a way to make it relevant to them, or it's a lost cause. Okay.
Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chime in very quickly.
Go for it.
As we look at these, if you recall, the essential questions ask for 3 adjectives, right? And we always have these students, for some reason, instead of giving us adjectives, they give us nouns, okay? Like this particular sticky note, mother, pastor, friend. Yes, they are heroes in our own eyes, right? So what we would do is, this is why collaboration is very important. We would ask them, okay, give me words to describe your mom. Give me words to describe your pastor. Give me words to describe your friend. Once they give us those adjectives that describe that noun, then we plug those adjectives into the central question, okay? So this is when, this is very, very, very important, and I just wanted to chime in because to let them know it's okay sometimes when we venture off and not really follow instructions, and this is where that we do comes in. Remember when I talked about that in the second slide? I said we do is when we work together to make it right. So I just wanted to chime in and talk about that very quickly, all right? Okay.
I love that. All right, so I think together we came up with some great words. When your student does this lesson, they're going to have a lot more words to sort out, and those discussions about which word we should keep and which word we should toss, when I tell you, they get really, really passionate about that, and everybody wants their word to end up in our focus statement too, right? But this lesson is so much fun. So what I want you to do now, we're going to read you the words one more time, and I want you to write on your sticky note the one that you think, actually give me 2 in case we have a repeat. Give me the 2 words that you think most need to be in our focus statement, okay? So of these words, what are the 2? They don't have to be ones you pick, they can be. What are the 2 that you think a hero most has to have? Any kind of hero, okay? So we've got selfless, farsighted, courageous, admirable, affluent, overcomer, and that's it. See, we crossed the other ones out. Okay, so we have 2 words that are completely in because they were voted for multiple times. So we're gonna work on our statement. A hero is selfless, courageous. Oh, 3 words. We got clear winners. Y'all make this so easy. A hero is selfless, courageous, and an overcomer, right? And I think we can go into any text that we read in Unit 1 and we can look for evidence to back up that statement, right? I think we did a great job finding words that would fit any hero. All right, so after a lesson sort of like this one, your student's going to enter into that whole group learning phase of the unit, and this is where, as a whole group all together, we're reading a text, we're digging into that text. I'm constantly, Ms. Wigfall is constantly modeling those skills that student's going to be expected to master throughout the unit that they're going to be assessed on at the end, right? In Unit 1, that's Beowulf. Beowulf is one of the oldest pieces of literature out there, but it is action-packed, and so we have to work a little to get them sort of going, but the moment, there's a ripped-off arm, somehow they're hooked. Yeah.
Right.
And then from there, at the end of that, they'll do that first performance task, which is them writing a shorter essay where they're pulling evidence just from that one text. Then we'll move into our small groups where they'll read some things about heroes together with a group that they're in. Then they'll potentially do a project, and then they'll move into that independent learning where they get to pick what they read on their own and write that last performance-based assessment. So, do you have any questions on how any of this is structured or why we do any of the things that we do? Okay.
Okay, so basically we're gonna do like a 1-minute activity. So let's take a moment to look at this. What matters most, winning or taking a stand? I need for you all to think 60 seconds. Tell me which one you like and tell me why. 60 seconds, just think about it. Which one matters the most? Winning or taking a stand? 60 seconds.
Perfect.
Very good. And guess what? Everything you just said, it goes back to these words that we just talked about. I just wanted to talk about that very briefly to show you all everything goes back to the essential question at the beginning of every unit. What makes a hero? Taking a stand. Okay? Okay.
We will have students, though. I had some last year who wrote essays on how winning is more important. And I love that this curriculum offers us these opportunities to really discuss, and they can hear viewpoints, you know, from their classmates, and it sort of widens their view a little bit. Yeah, all right. So, you should have had a bag in your chair that's got some resources in there for you from different content areas, just about how you can help your student to be successful this year. You are already doing the most important thing, which is showing up for your student and being invested in their success. And some parents think, you know, once their child hits high school, oh, they got it, right? I promise you, those seniors need to be checked on as much as your second graders. They will, you know, let the things slide that they need to be doing because they can only see, you know, what's beyond. They're just ready to be out of school, and so they start to neglect some things. So please just keep checking on your students, check in with teachers. We love hearing from y'all, and, you know, do exactly what you're doing. It's great. We appreciate y'all so much, really.
Also, in your parent bag, I would love for you all to look at this folder right here. It says top 10 things your high schooler needs to know. This is very important. Successful note-taking strategies. What I've learned is, and I have to say this to my baby, he's a rising sophomore in college, and one time we were on the phone and I was asking him, I said, how's it going, how's it going? He said, Mom, I learned very quick. 8 o'clock at Blunt is not 8 o'clock in South Carolina. So these right here, these tips, very, very important. And like Miss just said, our kids, they need us more now than anything. I think they need us more as a young adult. Just, you know, life making decisions, so very important. And we just need to be there for them, okay? But thank you all for coming.
We really appreciate y'all. Thank you.